Here's our current structure. We have the point class with these four fields: X and Y coordinate, type, and icon. The problem with this structure is that it can potentially take a significant amount of memory, and that is because of this icon field over here. Let's say we have 100 points of interest, and all these points are cafes. With this structure, we'll end up storing the cafe icon 100 times, and that is unnecessary. Ideally, we should store the cafe icon in a single place in memory and share it across all points of interest that are cafes. So I'm going to take out these two fields, type and icon, because these fields are highly related. The icon is dependent on the type. It's not dependent on the X or Y coordinates. So let's take out these two fields and put them in a new class called point icon. With this structure, we have a composition relationship between the point and point icon classes. So each point has an icon. Now, with this structure, we can store this icon in a single place and reuse it across multiple point objects. But how can we ensure that we're storing a given icon, like the cafe icon, in a single place in memory? Well, we shouldn't directly create point icon objects. We should introduce a new class called point icon factory. As the name implies, this class is like a factory. It's responsible for producing objects. So in this class, we're going to have a single method called getPointIcon. It takes a type and returns a point icon object. So we're going to call this method and say, hey factory, give me an icon for cafes. If this factory object has a cafe icon, it will simply return it. Otherwise, it's going to create it, store it in some kind of cache or pool, and then return it to us. So with this class, we can ensure that we're storing a given icon, like the cafe icon, in a single place in memory. So once again, we're going to have a composition relationship here. Inside this factory object, we're going to have 0 or more point icon objects. Now finally, in our point service, that is where we get all the points, we're going to use this factory to create point objects. So earlier inside this class, we directly created a point object. We passed the X and Y coordinates, we set the type to cafe, and we passed null for the icon. Now with this structure, we're going to use this factory to get the icon for a given point and then construct a point object. And this is what we call the flyweight pattern. A flyweight is an object that we can share. So in this structure, this point icon acts as a flyweight. It's an object that we can share in different contexts. So next, I'm going to show you how to apply this pattern to reduce the amount of memory that our mapping application takes.